Title is misleading. We're actually not going to look at the superstar club today, but we will look at a superstar that was unearthed in Jalen Hurts by the Eagles. What's up, it's your boy Cintron. Come back at you with another news/analysis video. And I kid you not, it's my real name. Anyways, the title is false. So anyways, let's get into this video. Where we're going to start from, a myriad of topics today. More on Hurts from Eagles Blitz. I also think we have to give Doug Peterson a lot of credit. He should. He was a head coach that was here when Jalen was made a second-round pick. Even when we had Carson Wentz on board and had just minted him, signed him to a 4-year, $128 million deal. That being said, we still believed in being a quarterback factory and bringing in a high-quality, rough behind the edges, or rough around the edges, gym that would, with a little shining sparkle, and turn out to be Jalen Hurts. He signed off on the move and tried to get everyone on board with it. Peterson liked Hurts and helped to develop him in a timely fashion. He used Hurts as rookie in creative looks. So, coming in immediately, he had some tools in his toolkit, but they weren't directly applicable to the regular offense we were running. So, he took him under his wing, taught him concepts, used what he was familiar with, especially in those last 4 weeks when he essentially took over the starting job for a stinking Carson Wentz at the time. And yeah, he really ran with him, didn't give him a short leash, gave him control, and he wasn't working with a full deck because he didn't have a deeper grasp of the offense and the concepts. He was working more on a not surface level, but at his level of understanding, him being a rookie, coming in and needing to work on so many things. But that being said, he still was able to operate, and that was kind of a glimpse into what Jalen Hurts could become, even with the modicum of success he had running the regular offense, and him being kind of just like a 1-2 read guy and go. He still showed enough moxie. He showed composed nature. He didn't get he let his valleys be where they were, and the peaks be where they were. Didn't get too high nor low. So all in all, that was a great development move by Dougie P. The results were mixed, but kudos to Doug for trying to get the most out of a talented athlete. Yeah, that offense needed all the help it could get. Yeah, like I said, it was not the best offense, but it did show precursors of what could become. Hurts became a much better player than I ever would have guessed. Yeah, I didn't think that he would become the player that he is now. Borderline MVP, and on the precipice of really accomplishing something special here in Philly and setting a new gold standard for Philadelphia quarterbacks. There wasn't an NFL player who was a great comp for him. He reminded you a bit of what Russell Wilson, but he ran more, and Russell was more reticent to run and really scramble to buy time, but he really relied on passing from the pocket. Hurts wasn't as good a passer, but was a more dynamic runner. I just didn't think Hurts had this kind of ceiling. Me neither. If you said you saw this coming, either you're a true believer or you're foolish. Think about the way people talk about him versus how they talked about him. People were just like, he'll never work out. He'll never pan out. He'll never develop past a certain stage. He'll maybe be the second coming of a Vic, but he's gone beyond that. He has a chance to easily go down as the best Philadelphia quarterback. And then we haven't had a great pantheon. Ron Jaworski being maybe one of our best, behind Donovan McNabb, and him still being a couple steps behind a guy like Tom Brady, who he was competing with for Super Bowls in the early 2000s. That being said, man, the way he's developed and the discipline he has, the heart he has, the willingness to put in the hours, attention to detail, because they easily, like I said, set him not just in the history books, but really put him at the top of the list in the hearts of Eagles fans. Anyways, concepts. We'll get into that sometime later. But yeah, I'm looking forward to breaking some of those down because I love to talk about the bits and pieces, the bits and bobs, as the British would say, that make the offenses and defenses go. I love this children's book. Check out the video, but you're not even going to do it because you're not even watching. All right. Identifying each NFC East team's biggest concern from a GM's perspective. I just say the Cowboys. correcting Dak. Get him going. They have a good shot at being competitive at the very least. The NFC cellar dwellers, the Washington Commanders, figuring out the QB situation and how to help that guy out the best. You throw him into the fire. You don't expect him, to have an extinguisher on deck. He's going to need some help putting out that fire, that burning, raging beast of a maelstrom that you have going down there, up there in Washington. Yeah, and for the Giants, how can you help Dan Jones to progress, take the next step? I mean, he has some weapons, but you still haven't equipped him with a number one receiver. A tight end that could be that, but that's still a tight end. You want a receiver to play that role, but yeah, these are some pressing questions for them. But for the Eagles, Howie Roseman is the best general manager in the league right now, and I'm surely not going to sit in my chair and say I have a ton of worries about this team. Like some idiot I'm talking to now or going back and forth with, oh, you guys don't have this and have that, and your holes in your team. What are you even looking at? Like, to tell you you're not an avid fan of football. You don't watch the game. I know head coach Nick Sirianni and what makes him tick. We had some deep conversations when we were both with the Chargers. He will find a way to keep the narrative fresh, and the team will be hungry to finish the job after coming up just short last year. Yeah, I definitely think they will, man. And with the leadership we have in place, including the most important position at QB, I don't see us having a down year, and he's not going to let the morale slip, not let those guys get down themselves, and stay focused on the freaking goal. Like, we're not interested in banners. We're not interested in placement rings like the NFC Championship ring. Throw those shits out. Cool. There's only one thing that's going to satisfy this team: a Super Bowl 58 victory. Losing both coordinators is a byproduct of the success the Eagles had in 2022. Yeah, once seen as a team that is ascending, and you have a measuring stick of success, like they did last year, going to the Super Bowl. The vultures and the piranha are going to come to pick the carcass clean, and they're going to try to. But not knowing that we're amoeba, we can regenerate. So I believe that we're actually going to be better. Better, I would say, at the very least, on par. But I think better at both coordinator spots, even given the attrition we suffered, which is asinine to say in most situations. But look at both sides and look who we had. If it was other people coming in, I would say otherwise. Especially on the offensive side, but defensive side, addition by subtraction, and the other one, I think it'll just be a bolder take on the offense. Those are just my takes. That does force others into roles that might take some adjusting, which is okay, because I think the offense will be more stability, and the defense will be kind of stabilizing, growing into their different positions and growing into the defense that they can be. But it might take some time, and the offense is there to kind of hold their hand, be the big brother, so to speak. That may lead to a less than ideal start as new people design and then call games for the first time. Yeah, some trial and error is fine, but I'd like to believe. We have a Super Bowl participating head coach that he appeared in the Super Bowl, so he has that on his resume. That's saying that in the highest pressure situation, he can step in if Brian Johnson needs some help, steering the ship on offense. So. He is an offensive-minded coach, so that'll be his forte. And shout aside, I don't think he'll need any guidance, but he has guys like Matt Patricia, senior defensive assistant, to help him guide the ship, a former head coach. That experience matters. Like, those guys are underrated in the role that they play, and keeping this being a cohesive unit and having all hands on deck play their part. All right, 2024 NFL Draft, one draft prospect each NFC team should be watching. So, this is something looking ahead of time, but I'm also interested to see, in the supplemental draft, there's two receivers coming in, one out of Purdue, and another other guy, which is which, but there's one guy, 6'3", like $190. Don't know what he runs. He's going to run, I think, later this week on Thursday, I think tomorrow, or Friday for you guys, for me. For a Thursday for you guys. But be interested to see, like, say that he's worth maybe a late round pick, maybe a 6th rounder. So who knows? I think that would be great just to take a flyer on him and put it out there. I think he'll most likely we won't get him because other teams will take priority with number 31 out of 32. But that being said, it'd be worth a shot just to put it in if he shows up on this pro day. Anyways, this guy, the positions we need, potential needs: linebacker, wide receiver, and center. Because linebacker, we do have a guy that we believe is going to be a semi-star, or at least a very solid starter, and Nakobe Dean. Wide receiver, we need a guy interior slot, and number 3 in outside depth, as well as center. I would say no, but O-line, definitely O-tackle and guard. Future starter at tackle and depth along the interior line. So definitely a backup center because we're going to need that next year. Most likely if Kelsey hangs it up. The player to watch here is Johnny Wilson, Florida State. Woo! The guy's like 6'7", 235. He's a monster, man. So right now, Philadelphia would appear to have some issues with inexperience in the middle of its defense. The team's success, however, will be primarily driven by Jalen Hurts and dynamic offense. Like I was saying above, like we're pretty much an offensive-led team this year. A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith are among the league's elite pair of receivers, but there's a bit left to be desired behind them. Either one of them go down, we're in big trouble. Hurts was at his best last season when he was willing to unleash the deep ball. He was one of the most accurate guys on the deep ball last year. Nobody will give him a bigger target downfield than 6'7" monster Johnny Wilson out of Florida State. Wilson's massive frame allowed him to post a 92.3 receiving grade on throws 10 yards plus downfield last season. His presence will allow Smith to move into the slot and give Philadelphia a potentially unstoppable 3-receiver look. Man, just imagine that. Makes you salivate. A guy on the outside like that, just jump balls, fades, get into the red zone. He's got to be one of the top targets. And you have like the guy, A.J. Brown, and then the guy, the Slim Reaper who runs excellent routes. And then Dallas Goedert on the interior could also flex to the outside. And then running backs as well, coming out of the backfield. Man, you can even line him up at pseudo tight end and just let him do work. He's the size of a freaking tight end. He's bigger than Grant Calcaterra, both I think in weight and in size. I mean, just ridiculous. The guy's flexibility would be insane. But yeah, I mean, to have a guy like that, and he can be inside, outside, versatile, as well as I think he runs like a 4.5, in the low 4.5s. I mean, just man, what a weapon! A guy can dream, right? All right. Next, how the Cowboys roster compares to Super Bowl champs of the past. A solid and healthy offensive line. This is probably the component that brings the most questions for the Cowboys, but not because they don't have talented players. Yeah, but I don't think they stay healthy, though. You could argue that a lineup of Tyron Smith, Tyler Smith, Tyler Biadasz, Zach Martin, and Terrence Steele is one of the best top-to-bottom units in the NFL. But can this group stay healthy? Terrence Steele is coming off of ACL, so, Zach Martin, I mean, he's still very, very good. His plays slipping a little bit. Tyler Biadasz is just a guy. Tyler Smith is going to be at guard or tackle, and, he didn't show great at tackle. Got a little handsy. And Tyron Smith, can you guys stay healthy? The last 3 years, he missed, like, the equivalent of, 48 games. Not 48 games. Like 70% of the games. So, I mean, I think last year he only played, like, 4 or 5 games, something like that. So, just ridiculous. I wouldn't expect it. Tyron Smith has missed multiple games every year since 2016. Yeah, dates back pretty far. Although the back he suffered with prior to 2020 has seemingly been non-issue the last 2 years, which is good news, but lower body can't hold up, which, I mean, just the other injuries cause the other weakening of the other body parts. Just a, echo effect. And Terrence Steele is coming off a tough knee injury. Yeah. If not, they'll need young players like Matt. Well, let's go. Matt Farniak, they love Matts. Asim Richards, which speaks to their unoriginality. Damn. And others to step up and play big. And these are just guys just right now. I mean, you don't even know what they have in them. So that's a big ask. So I mean, they're holding on to a O-line that's pieced together, holding itself together with glue and duct tape there in Big D, and hoping things like a big issue for them has always been depth. They don't have it. And they're probably going to struggle, man. So we'll see. How can Giants right tackle Evan Neal progress in year 2? Big Blue. All right, the common refrain this offseason has been that because Thomas struggled as a rookie before becoming one of the NFL's best linemen, Neal will be just fine. And it's a big ask because he looked doubtful that last year. I mean, he struggled. It's an understatement. The other narrative is that he's already close to being a coming to bust, which is, well, pump your brakes. This is this guy's second year. In reality, incremental progress is what's most likely and should be expected from Neal this year. Yeah, I think he'll, not anything, but, just average play will be a step up from last year. He was a liability. The physical traits are there, yeah. Neal has good agility and is the 5th largest offensive lineman in the league. Is he athletic, though? Now he just needs to prove he can translate that into on-field success. We've only had a small sample size so far. Yeah, Neal played 13 games last year and looked worse off after returning from a knee injury in week 12, which, just doesn't say a lot because you're going to be, worse off coming back from an injury, such as a knee injury where, they need to bend down and get into the kick stance, for a tackle. So that bend, essentially his knee, he was working with a bad part. That's going to disadvantage him every snap. Though he refuses to use that as an excuse. Yeah, great for him, but can the guy tread water out there and hold his own? Because they didn't give him too much help, I don't think chipping and such, at least when they played against us. And man, they may have given him some help, but it wasn't like a huge amount. And you can't you're already limited offense to be even more limited if you're keeping somebody in every play to chip on that side. All right, is Washington tight end unit overrated or underrated? Very, it's neither. It is what it is. It's just not good. And they don't really target the guys. And we'll see if the new O coordinator Eric Bieniemy, are they going to change that? But there's some guys interested. Logan Thomas, he has some tools. He was a former quarterback, but the guy has made a good transition to being a tight end. But they just seemingly, at least in the past, didn't know how to use guys. Outside of Vernon Davis, and then even then they didn't really feature him when he should have been a highlight in that offense. Not saying the leading guy, but he should have been at least a key cog. And it just speaks to the ineptitude that they've had years upon years there in Washington. And I'm not looking for them to correct that, and I don't want them to either. But like I said, it'll be interesting to see what Bieniemy's look for the offense will be. They have, solid receiver, very, very good receiver, and then what could be a developing to solid receiver in Jahan Dotson. But we shall see. And this one, to round out the day, what are league rules around gambling on sports? This is interesting, ridiculous. Because we saw some guys get suspended last season, chiefly Jamison Williams of the Detroit Lions, the former Alabama wide receiver, losing, I think, 6 games or so. And then, year before that, Calvin Ridley betting on his own team, which is just dumb. Even if he wasn't playing, it just, insider information, you talking to the brass or having access to them, just looks like you're complicit in something that's, corrupt and, cheating. It's a scandal, but I can understand that. But they suspended some guys this year that were gambling on other sports. I'm like, well, where do you draw the line? Because you FanDuel and other websites, you ad nauseum, advertise these to the fans. Like, okay, well, gambling. And then they even have a disclaimer, like, if you need help with gambling, call this number. Hey, let's gamble. That sends very mixed signals, and it's just very disingenuous on the face, on the if you take it at face value. But, like, for you to chastise guys for gambling, that's their money, that's on their, maybe not in the building, you have some rules and statutes, but on their free time, in their free time, who the f cares? I guess you do, but I don't know why it would stain the name of NFL, a completely different sport, if they're gambling on hockey, baseball, or basketball. Maybe it just looks bad on the surface like that. These rich athletes, these rich kids are spending their, pocket change and even becoming even richer, dabbling in the sport of gambling. But, the house usually wins, So wouldn't it just be a boon for the gambling industry, but which you're part of and taking, getting funds, equity now, and being partners with certain organizations, like I said, FanDuel. But anyways, it's just confounding. But I don't know, man. But it just looks like, you know, the NFL's being two-faced. You know, do as I say, but not as I do. Anyways, we're going to get out of here. But you're not even watching, though. I know that. But it's all good because I love doing these videos regardless. But as always, it's fly, Eagles, fly, and let's motherfucking go. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Check me out at Cintron, Cintron Anime, Cintron Life, or Cintron Laughs, or other social media.